Good morning and namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's take a moment to become present. And if you'd like to find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or a block, pillow, blanket, whatever helps to elongate your spine, the back of your neck, open your chest, open your diaphragm, opening your heart. If you kindly would close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle. Breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. This morning, for this morning's intention, you can think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning, I'd like to talk about continue our talk about the 8 limbs of yoga. And the 8 limbs of yoga teaches us about awareness. The first 4, the yamas, the niyamas, the asanas, the poses, and the pranayamas, the breath work, brings us an awareness of the external world, our external world and the world around us. And then the last 3 limbs of the 8 limbs of yoga, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, teach us about awareness of our internal. It's all about going deep inside ourselves. And so the 5th limb, which is what we'll talk about today, is the bridge between the external and the internal worlds. And that 5th limb is Pratyahara. And it's often referred to as the withdrawal of senses. So think about what's going on around in your room right now, or just what's going on around you. Your 5 senses, you're hearing my voice, you're seeing me and perhaps others. And smell, you may have a cup of coffee going there and you can smell that nice coffee smell. Tasting, you can perhaps taste the deliciousness of the coffee. And feeling, how does the room feel, the temperature wise? How does the clothing feel on you? Is it comfortable? Is it restrictive? These are your 5 senses. And while the senses can create a pleasant experience right now, sometimes they can be also perceived by the mind as distracting or even overwhelming. I know our media tends to hit on those senses and that can sometimes be overwhelming. And if you're in meditation, sometimes seeing or hearing can be very distracting. So by withdrawing your focus on these sensations, you can flip your awareness from your external world to your internal world. And you, in essence, create a blank canvas within you. So for this morning's Pratyahara, or not Pratyahara, for this morning's Pranayama, the breathing technique. There's one that's really closely associated with Pratyahara, and that's a breathing technique called Bhramari. And that is the bee after India's bee. And Vermont has its honeybee, India has a Bhramari bee, and it's actually called Hummingbi Breath. And what it does is it calms the mind, and actually it incorporates humming. And I was experimenting with trying to think or have my little monkey mind going while I was humming, and I was having a hard time doing that. So there is an effectiveness that if you are feeling that your monkey mind's going too much, I think humming is kind of a lost art. You always used to hear of people humming or hear people humming, and it's not that prevalent anymore, but let's start a movement, bring it back. So basically what you do for the Bhramari or the Hummingbi breath is you close your mouth and your eyes. You press, and don't do this yet because then you can't hear the rest of what I'm going to say, but press your ear flaps in, which is called the tragus or tragus. That little cartilage that's sitting on the side of your ear, you press that in so you kind of close down your hearing. And then you start to humming. You start to hum with your sound coming from your throat, not your nose. And so you inhale, and that's neutral, but on the exhale is when you hum. So inhale, and then exhale, inhale, exhale. So let's just try that. So you close your eyes and your mouth, press your little tragus cartilage in your ears, and then start humming with it on the exhale. So inhale, neutral, exhale. And to put another layer on it, and this is actually the first time I ever saw this is with the Mudra, and they often this pranayama is done with this particular mudra, and the mudra is called Shanmukhi, and its intention for this mudra is to close down the 7 gates of perception or 5 senses. So you put your thumbs on your ears. This is great for Halloween. Put your thumbs on your ears. Don't close your ears yet. Put your index fingers on your eyes. So you close your eyes and you kind of seal them down with your index fingers. Put your middle fingers alongside your nose. Your ring finger goes above your mouth and your pinky goes below your mouth. So to keep your mouth closed. And then you can push in your thumb and do that inhale, neutral, and then exhale, humming. And I challenge you to try to think of something while you're doing this and see if you can actually multitask. So let's just do that for a few moments. And you can release now. How many of you were able to think and hum at the same time? I was able to do it, but it was kind of a struggle. And after a while, I just kind of gave up and gave into the humming. So let's go to our mat and we'll start our asana practice. So continue being on your comfortable seat, and perhaps get in a position where your knees are with same height as your hip crease, they're creased right where your hips and your legs start, or maybe perhaps a little lower. And we'll start with nodding our head. So we're going to exhale, bringing our gaze down to the floor. Inhale, send our gaze up, but not directly up, just sending it off into a distance. Exhale, send our gaze down. Inhale, send our gaze up. Exhale, send our gaze down. Inhale, send our gaze up. And bring your head back to neutral. Inhale, turn your head to the left, looking to the left. And then exhale, come back to center. Inhale, look to the right. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale to the left. Exhale, back to center. Inhale to the right. Come back to center. And then we'll do little circles with our nose like we did last week. So just make this little round using your nose as your drawing instrument. Make these little round circles clockwise. And you can put your hand in front and draw around your hand if that works. Just loosening up your neck. And then go counterclockwise. And then bring your head back to neutral. And then we're going to do that sequence, but with our eyes shut. So we're going to take one of our senses away, our vision, and just see if that brings you deeper inside a little bit, where you're not distracted looking at what's on your walls or on your floor. So inhale, close your eyes. Inhale, send your gaze up. And exhale, send your gaze down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Back to neutral. Inhale left. Exhale center. Inhale right. Exhale center. Inhale left. Exhale center. Inhale right. Exhale center. Then draw little circles with your nose, clockwise and then counterclockwise. And then bring your head back to neutral. We'll do some shoulder shrugs. So gently lift your shoulder up toward your ears, rounding them toward the back, bringing your shoulder blades together, sending them down toward the mat, and then forward to the front of the mat and up toward your ears again. Very gently relaxing your shoulders with each circular motion. And then reverse the direction. And one last one. Come back to neutral. Bring your fingertips to the mat along each side of you. We're going to do some sun breaths. So inhale deeply, bringing your arms up overhead. And then exhale deeply, bringing your arms back down slowly. So deep inhales and deep exhales. Inhale slowly up. And exhale slowly down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Keeping your right fingertips on the mat, and lift your left arm up, straight up, close to your ear, so that your upper arm is close to your ear. Then we're going to bend our right elbow toward the mat and do a seated side stretch over to the right. Then inhale, come back up. Lower the left fingertips to the mat, raising your right hand up toward the sky, having the arm alongside your ear. And then bending your left elbow, dipping over to the left for a left side stretch. And then inhale, come back up. Bring your right fingertips down, lift your left arm up, bend your right elbow, stretch over to the right side. Inhale, come back up. Dropping your left fingertips to the mat, lift your right arm up. Bend your left elbow toward the mat, and then dip over to the left. Inhale, come back up. And bring both hands back down to the mat. So when you're seated, if you're cross-legged, set your right leg in front of your left leg so that they're lying side by side. And we're going to gently walk our hands out as far as what's comfortable for you, sending your gaze forward, or you can close your eyes and just feel when you hit that sweet spot. And you'll know it's the spot between effort and relaxation. And then walk your hands over to the right side. You can kind of crab walk them over. And again, come to that spot where it's comfortable for you. Then walk your hands back up toward your torso, bringing your torso upright. And then lift your right leg up so that the knee's pointing to the sky. Wrap your left arm around your right knee. Bring your right hand behind your hips. Set it down on the mat right behind your hips. And send your gaze off to the right. And if you want a little bit more stretch, we're just warming up. So this is totally optional. You can put your elbow on the other outside, kind of leverage and look over your left shoulder. And then come back to center. You can take your right leg and extend it out on the diagonal, flexing your foot so your toes are reaching to the sky. Bring your right hand, the back of your right hand against your inner right knee, the inner part of your right knee. Lift your left arm up so that its fingertips are toward the sky and your arms alongside your ear. And then we're going to slide our right hand down toward our right foot. So this is a seated side stretch with a little bit of a twist. And then come back up. Bring your hands down and we're gonna switch feet. So our left leg is in front of our right leg. And then again, walk your hands out to that sweet spot. And then walk your hands, crab walk them over to the left until that you reach the comfort spot, that sweet spot. And then walk them back up toward your torso. And then send your left leg out straight, toes pointing up toward the sky. Bring the back of your left hand to the inner part of your left knee. And then we'll send our right arm up. And then slide the left hand down toward our left foot. Deep breaths here. And then come back up. We'll come up on our hands and knees up into tabletop. So our wrists are right below our shoulders. Knees are right below our hips. Fingers are splayed wide apart, pressing gently down into the mat to create space between your shoulder and your ears. Navel's tucked to the spine, creating a nice flat back. We'll do some cat-cows here. So exhale, rounding our back, dropping our head and pelvis down for cat. Then inhale, drop, raising our head and pelvis up, dropping our tummy just ever so slightly. Let's just have it be a natural move and not anything forced for cow. And exhale, rounding our back, dropping our head and pelvis down for cat. Inhale, lifting our head and pelvis up for cow. And just continue for a few moments. Deep inhales, deep exhales, synchronizing your breath to your movement. And again, you can try closing your eyes here. And come back to a neutral back. We're keeping our knees where they are. We're going to walk our hands out in front of us, come into extended puppy. Bring our forehead down to the mat. And then we're going to drop our hips down toward our ankles. So we're going to slide our hands along the mat, keeping them stretched out. Come into child's pose. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop. Tuck our toes under, walking our hands back toward our ankles, come into a squat, and then push down with your toes and lift up to mountain. We'll just go through our mountain essentials here, which is for good posture. Our toes are in line with the edge of our mat, straight edge of our mat. Legs are nice and strong. We'll lift our toes up and spread them out as wide as we can, and then bring them back down to the mat and lift our heels up off the mat. And then bring our heels back down so we feel rooted and grounded in our mat. Knees that have a soft bend to them, navel's tucked to our spine. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. So we have our hips, our shoulders, and our head in nice straight line. Inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead. Big sun breath. And then exhale, forward fold, bending deeply at the knees, bringing your hands down to the mat. Just check in for a moment, see how you feel this morning. Let your body help you with today's practice, having it tune in. So when you tune your hearing inward, you're hearing what your body is asking of you today. So inhale, sweep your hands up to your shins, flatten out your back, sending your gaze downward, half forward fold. Exhale, dropping the crown of your head down toward the mat for forward fold. Inhale, sweep your hands from the mat all the way up overhead, and then come up onto your tippy toes for palm tree. And just sway here for a moment. Be like a ghost. Ooh. And then bring your heels back down, bring your arms back down, forward fold, bending your knees, landing your hands on the mat. Then inhale, bring your hands up to your shins, flatten out your back, straightening out your vertebrae. And then exhale, drop your crown of your head toward the mat, toward the ground. And stretch out here. And sweep your hands all the way up from the bottom of the mat, up overhead. Bringing your hands together. We're going to drop the right hand to the right thigh and slide it down toward the right knee. Inhale, come back up. Bring your right hand up to meet your left. Drop your left hand down. Slide it down to your left knee. Side stretch to the left. Inhale, come back up. Bring your hands together. Drop your right hand down. Slide it down toward your right knee. And then come back up. And drop your left hand down. Slide it down to your left knee. And come back up. And exhale, sweep your hands down, forward fold, bending at the knees, placing your hands on the mat. We're going to do a few squats here. So just come up on your tippy toes into a squat position like we did coming into the mountain pose. And keeping that squat position for a moment. And then send your heels back down to the mat, straightening out your legs. Come back into a forward fold. Crown of your head's dropping down toward the mat. And then come into a squat again. Come up onto your balls of your feet, bending your knees, bringing your hips down toward the ankles. Then inhale, straighten out your knees, come back into a forward fold. And then one last time, come into the squat position. Come up on your balls of your feet. And then send your heels back down to the mat, straightening out your leg back into a forward fold. And sweep your hands all the way up from the mat, all the way up overhead. And then bring them down to your hips, placing your hands, fingers pointing down on your hips. Your feet are hip width apart. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked to your chest. And just slowly drop your shoulders back for a supported back bend. Keeping your chin tucked toward your chest. You send your gaze out, but not directly up. And remember to breathe. Inhale, come back up. Okay, sweep our hands up again. Overhead and forward fold. Bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees. We're going to extend our right leg to the back of the mat, come into runner's lunge. So the lunge is your left knee will be over your left ankle. The back leg is strong and active, pushing the back heel or the right heel back toward the end of the mat. Place your right hand down on the mat and sweep your left hand up to create a nice gentle twist. And you can send your gaze up with your hand if that's comfortable. And bring that left hand back down. And lower your left knee down to the mat, coming into low lunge. Top of your left foot rests on the mat. We'll do some half monkeys here. So you could straighten out your left leg, your front leg, slowly as you ride with your ribs on your left thigh. You can ride that slowly back till you can get as straight as you can on your left leg. Then inhale, come back up. We'll do this 2 more times. So straightening out your left leg. Bringing your chin down toward your knee. And then inhale, come back up. And one last time. Straightening out your left leg. Bringing your chin toward your knee, ride your thigh with your chest. And then inhale, come back up. And tuck your right toes under, come back up into runner's lunge. And then we're going to pivot our back foot, our right foot down to the mat and push down in the front leg, coming up to warrior 1. So you'll have that lunge angle on your leg, the left knee over the left ankle. The back foot, the edge of your back foot's nice and snug in the mat. And I'd like you to push down as hard as you can and then push out toward the ends of the mat. So you're really feeling grounded in this pose. Then once you feel comfortable and stable, you lift your arms up overhead, and you can face the corner, right corner of your mat. And then turn your torso so that it's pointing to the top of the mat. Then bring your arms down, interlacing the fingers behind you. We'll do a modified humble warrior. So just interlace your fingers behind you, relaxing your shoulders, rolling them back, and then lean forward so that your chest, your torso is over your knee. And send your hands up into the air, just sending them out back, not straight up. And then release your fingers, bringing them back down to the mat, come back into runner's lunge by pivoting your back foot. And I'm going to come into downward dog. So bring your left foot to meet your right foot to downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a few moments. Fingers are wide apart, supporting the weight of your arms. Arms are nice and straight and strong. Chest is reaching toward your thighs, sending your hips up to the sky. And then we're going to inhale, bring our left leg to our left elbow, or left knee rather, to our left elbow. And then back again to downward dog. Pedal out. Inhale, lift your left knee, bring it to the left elbow, pushing off with your right toes. And then back to downward dog. And then this time we're going to lift our left knee, bring it to the mat right behind our left wrist. And then diagonally, or if you can diagonally, point your left toes to the opposite side of the mat. So your leg is on a diagonal, or your leg can be straight back, whichever's gonna be comfortable for you. This is Pigeon Pose. Sliding your right leg back so that your right leg is resting on the mat. First, we're going to walk our hands back, creating a little bit of a back bend. Proud pigeon, puffing out its chest. And then we'll walk our hands down, come into recline pigeon. So walk your hands forward and bring your forehead to the mat. And if you have a blanket close by, you may want to support your left hip by putting the blanket underneath that. If it's feeling a little tight. And inhale, come back up. Bracing with your hands, you tuck your right toe under and come back into downward dog. And pedal out here for a moment. And then walk your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. Then sweep your hands from your feet all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Hands come to heart center. Let's take a few sun breaths here. So deep inhale, sweeping our hands up and overhead. Exhale, bringing them back down. Inhale, sweeping them up. Exhale, back down. Inhale, one last time up. And exhale down and bend your knees coming into forward fold. So your hands are on the mat. We're going to send our left leg back, coming into runner's lunge. Again, your knees stacked over your ankle. Back leg is nice and active and strong. Pushing your heel toward the back of the mat. You plant your left hand down on the mat and sweep your right hand up to the sky, following it with your gaze if you like. And bring that hand back down to the mat. Bring your left knee down to the mat for a low lunge. Top of your left foot's nice and firm on the mat. And we'll do some half monkeys on the other side. So again, you straighten out your right leg, your bent leg, as straight as you can get comfortably. Bringing your forehead or chin down toward your knee. Then inhale, come back up. And again, straighten out your legs slowly. Be aware of what your body is feeling. Then inhale, come back up. And one last time, straightening out our leg as straight as we can, riding our thigh down on our ribs. And then inhale, come back up. We tuck our left toes under, come back up to runner's lunge. And then pivot our back foot, our left foot down onto the mat. Pushing down into the front foot, come back up into warrior one. So we'll keep that lunge. You may want to just scooch around until you feel comfortable in that lunge position. Back foot edge is nice and snug in the mat. I'm going to push both feet down and then push them toward the ends of the mat so you really feel grounded in this pose. Feel how active your legs become. And then inhale, lifting our arms up overhead, pointing our torso toward the corner, left corner of our mat. And then we're going to turn our torso so that it's facing directly to the front of the mat. Lower our arms. Bring them behind our back, interlacing our fingers. Relaxing our shoulders, opening our chest. And then just lean gently forward to the point that it's comfortable for you. Extending your hands back. And then bring our hands down to the mat. Pivot the back foot, coming back into runner's lunge. And then send our right foot back to meet the left foot, coming into downward dog. And pedal out here for a few moments. Then inhale, lift your right knee, bringing it to your right elbow, pushing off with your left toes. And then back to downward dog. And then again, lift your right knee, bringing it to your right elbow, pushing off with your left toes. And then back to downward dog. And then this time we're gonna bring our right knee, lifting it and bringing it down to the mat, right behind our right wrist. You can keep your leg straight, so that's right underneath your thigh or diagonal, as whatever is comfortable for you, so that your right toes are coming close to the edge of the left side of your mat. Sliding your left leg back and down onto the mat. Come into Pigeon Pose. And first, we're going to walk our hands back, creating a nice little back bend, puffing out our pigeon chest, nice and proud. And then walk our hands down to the front of the mat for Recline Pigeon, bringing our forehead down to the mat. Again, you may want to move the blanket or cushion to support your thigh on the right side. Then inhale, lift up, walk your hands back, and tuck your left toes under, bring yourself back up to downward dog, and just pedal out here for a few moments. Then bring your knees down to the mat, so you're coming back into tabletop. With your hands, your wrists right below your shoulders, knees right below your hips. We'll do thread the needle. So we lift our right arm up to shoulder height, and then sweep it under our torso, bringing our right shoulder and right ear down to the mat. And you can keep your left hand on the mat or move it to your hips, just lying it on your hips, or lifting it up to the sky, opening up your chest. Then bring your left hand back down to the mat if it's not already there, and push down to your left hand, lifting back up to tabletop. Realign yourself again to tabletop. Then lift your left arm up to shoulder height and sweep it under your torso, bringing your left shoulder and left ear down to the mat. Again, you can keep your right hand on the mat or move it to your hips or have it straight up in the air, opening up your heart. And bring your right hand back down to the mat and gently push up into tabletop. Then we'll swing our legs off to the side, come into a seated position where we can roll down onto our back. So you can roll down one vertebrae at a time, or express method, or anything in between. And once you're down on your back, you bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice gentle hug. Then interlace your fingers and wrap them around your left leg And send your right leg down to the bottom of the mat. Both toes are flexed, keeping both legs active. And you can lay your leg right down on the mat. And check in with your lower back, see if it's nice and snug in the mat. Shoulders are relaxed, rolled into the mat. Shoulder blades are nice, feel nice and cushioned by the mat. Then inhale, lift your right leg up, both knees to chest, give them a nice hug, and then switch hands over to the right knee, extending your left leg down to the bottom of the mat, keeping both feet flexed. Then inhale, bring the left knee back. Both knees together, give them a nice hug. Switch hands over to the left knee, extending your right knee all the way down to the bottom of the mat. Toes are pointing to the sky. Then inhale, come bring that right leg back. Give both legs a nice hug. Switch hands, right knee stays to the chest, left leg gets extended to the bottom of the mat. And then bring your left leg back, both knees get a nice hug, and you can rock back and forth just to give your lower back a nice massage. I'm going to take both feet and put them down on the mat. Have your knees hip width apart. Then place your hands alongside your hips, palms facing down on the mat for support. Lower back is nice and snug in the mat. Then we're going to extend our right leg all the way to the bottom of the mat. We're going to flex our toes, flex our foot so the toes are pointing up to the sky. We're going to lift our leg slowly up so that both knees are at equal height. So bringing your right leg up so that your right knee is at the same height as your left knee. And then bring it back down. And you can rest it on the mat. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Then we're going to lift our leg back up again, slowly, so that the knees are at equal height. And then lower our right leg almost to the mat, but not touching the mat. And then lift it again for 2. Bringing the knees at equal height. Slowly lowering it back down, but not touching the mat. And then 3, lifting it back up so that the knee heights are equal. And then bringing your right leg all the way back down to the mat. And then in deep inhale and exhale. We're going to do the same thing, only we're going to do it to the count of 5. So now inhale, lifting your leg up, bringing the knees to equal height, lowering your right leg, but not touching the mat. Lift it up again for 2. And then back down. Lift up for 3. Lower. Lift up for 4. And then lower. And lift up for 5. and lower all the way to the mat. And take nice inhale and exhale. We'll do one more round to the count of 7, but you can modify that if you like, if it's more comfortable for you. So inhale, lifting our leg up, then down, not touching the mat. Lift, 2, down, lift, 3, down, lift, 4, down, lift, 5, down, lift, 6, down, and lift, 7, down. And relax your leg, deep inhale and deep exhale. And bring both knees to your chest, give them a nice hug, and rock back and forth, massage your lower back. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, plant your feet on the mat, hip width apart. Your hands are alongside, palm side down to support you. Lower back's nice and snug in the mat. And then we extend our left leg all the way down to the mat. Toes are on the left foot are pointed up to the sky. Inhale, lifting our left leg up to the point where the knees are at the same height, and then lowering it back down. And rest. Next to the count of 3. So inhale, lift 1, down, not touching the mat. Lift 2, down, not touching the mat. Lift 3, and down all the way to the mat. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Now to the count of 5. So inhale, lift your knee up so they are equal height. Down, not touching the mat. Inhale up, 2, down. Inhale up, 3, down. Inhale up, 4, down. And inhale up, 5, and down, all the way to the mat. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And one last round to the count of 7. So inhale up, 1, down, up, 2, down, not touching the mat, up, 3, down, up, 4, down, up, 5, down, up, 6, down, and up, 7, down, all the way to the mat. Deep inhale and exhale. Bring both knees to your chest. Give them a nice hug. Rock back and forth. And then you can extend your legs back down, both legs all the way down to the mat, and prepare for Shavasana. Relax your feet to the corners of your mat and let them flop open. Relax your ankles and your knees and your hips. Relax your rib cage, your arms, having your arms diagonally at a side, palms facing up. Relax your shoulders. Relax your face, your jaw, your forehead. Place a gentle smile upon your lips. And let the nutrients of today's practice soak deep within you. This morning's poem's by Danna Faulds, called Go In and In. Go in and in. Be the space between the cells, the vast, resounding silence in which spirit dwells. Be sugar dissolving on the tongue of life. Dive in and in, as deep as you can dive. Be infinite, ecstatic truth. Be love conceived and born in union. Be exactly what you seek, the beloved, singing yes, tasting yes, embracing yes, until there is only essence, the all of everything expressing through you as you. Go in and turn away from nothing that you find.